everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome everybody. We got, as usual, our YouTube friends are first up. They can see, I think they can see the live stream exactly when it starts because it's already kind of pre-scheduled. And then our Facebook friends come in just a couple of seconds. They're about a 30-second delay, so we should be seeing them soon. But welcome everybody. There's some Facebook friends now. So welcome everybody. We've got folks from Colorado, Central Illinois, Ohio, Chicago. There's Betsy from Ohio, Minnesota. There's Australia joining us. Hi, Carmel. How are you? We've got Joanne in snowy upstate New York. And I should say that we are under the snowfall warning here in Calgary again. We were enjoying such a beautiful, the last 2 weeks we're up in the double digits, 15, 16 degrees Celsius. It was lovely. But after being born and raised here, I should know that that is false spring, right? And now we're getting second winter. Every year I get my hopes up. Every year I have them dashed. But anyways, we know that spring is coming. Officially, of course, spring in North America. I know it's moving into fall in Australia and down under. So hopefully wherever you are, the weather is okay. We've got lots of gals joining in. Nova Scotia is here. Hi, Brenda. Denver, Colorado, Macon, Georgia, Nova Scotia, Maine, Michigan, whole bunch of places. So welcome everybody. Let's see what's going on today. So last week we had some fun playing with some embellishments and we did our no-fail embellishment cluster formula. And, I was thinking about it afterwards and we used the word formula a lot. We've got album formulas. Now we have the fast card formulas. And then I was talking about a no-fail embellishment cluster formula. And I was thinking about, do people like the idea of a formula or not? And for me, a formula is really a step-by-step way or a guide in order to get something done. But I think where we get caught if you think about formulas, maybe you think, well, that takes away a lot of the creativity. So I think we get caught there because we can make any formula our own. We can take a formula and we can use different pages, products, papers, patterns, embellishments, photos, of course, and different tools. And we can really change it up. So I challenge you to use a formula, but change up your papers, your embellishments, all the rest of it, and just see how different those two pages look. So I'm a big fan of formulas. I love it when I don't know where to start or when I'm just trying to get a bunch of my photos kind of caught up. And that's what I'm going to be focusing on today. What are some simple and fast ways to get caught up? And I also was thinking about the term caught up because those of you who have known me for many years know that I say we're never going to get caught up. If you're a scrapbooker, I don't know if you want to get caught up because if you get caught up, then you don't have any more memories to play with. Hopefully you're out making more memories all the time, and that means we're always going to be scrapbooking and keeping and preserving those memories. So I don't like the term caught up either because I never want to feel guilty about where I'm at with my scrapbooking. But having said that, I committed to you guys that I was going to be working on a chronological yearly family album. This is something out of my comfort zone. But I promised that I would take you along on the journey and that I would be working on a chronological album this year. So that is what I'm going to get caught up with today. And just one more little note about that. I mentioned last week that because I was sick a few weeks ago, everything kind of backed up. So even though we are in, the last half of March 20th today, I am catching up with my February pages. So I'm going back into the month of February. I'm checking my calendar. I'm checking my little journal app that I talked about last month when I was doing my January pages. And I'm catching up by printing my photos from February and putting them into the album. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to be making my February album spread today, but I also want to revisit some of our simple page kits because again, I think some people say, well, they're too simple for me. I like to, cut and paste my paper, and I like to use all different kinds of things. So they're too much like a formula, and it's going to look the same for everybody. So again, I just want to revisit that and talk about how you can integrate those simple page kits into an album and not maybe have it look like, a formula type of page. So again, I really think if we look at these formulas and these fast products as tools for creating the documentation of our lives, then I don't think we're going to be stuck on that fact that they are simple or that they are going to look the same for everybody or anything like that. And I think that that can really help us become more efficient and faster, if you will, if we want to get caught up. Okay, so that's my kind of my spiel for this week. I never want you to feel guilty, but where I'm at right now is I need to go back a month and catch up on my album. So someone's saying here, that's Tamra, I think, Tamira. She's saying that she loves the journal app. So helpful to document a trip. Yeah, I like it too. And I've gotten into the habit. I love that it gives me a little prompt. I think it's 10 p.m. I set every night. And if there's something I want to journal from that day, I can take a minute and do that. I love that it works with my photos. I can pull photos in, and it will also ask me if I want to journal about a set of photos. So if you didn't watch our episode where I went through my January pages, or when I created my January pages, I will try to link that below in the description or above in Facebook so that you can go back and see it. It's basically just the native journal app in iPhones. So if you are on an Android, definitely leave us some ideas if you have a favorite journal app that you like to use on an Android phone, or how you like to journal and keep track of things. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of comments too about the simple page kits and how many people are loving them. Someone saying, I love the simple page kits, making a This Life album for 2024. And then Serena is saying that she loves the inspiration she gets from the formulas and from ideas books. So yeah, you can be as creative as you want to be, someone is saying. So I agree. I totally agree. So if you feel like you've been jaded or put off a little bit by the idea of simple page kits or formulas of any sort, I challenge you to think about that a little bit this week. Okay. All right. Well, let's flip you over to my table here. And I've got the simple page kits down here. So throughout the course of the video here, I'm going to be kind of reviewing a little bit about my storage and how I'm kind of keeping my album organized. But let's talk first about the simple page kits, and then I'll pull in my my This Life album, and we'll talk about that then. Okay, so I'm glad some of you are enjoying the simple page kits. We initially designed them to go with This Life, but we're finding that, again, they're going to go with a lot of other collections as well, because of our custom color cardstock. So for example, when you look at the Simple Life page kit number 1, which we made up together way back in January, okay, we've got blue, we've got eggplant, we've got purple ice, and then we kind of have a little bit of baby blue. And those are all colors of our cardstock. So this will also go with other collections that feature those colors. And of course, you can always pull the cardstock into them. Now, as I mentioned, we made up the January one together. And I'm keeping page kits that I have already created in this little simple power pocket. So I'm just going to keep them all together there. We're going to talk about the February or page kit number 2. That's not specifically for the month of February, but you can see that there's a lot of focus on love, pink and red, typically Valentine's. So I'm going to show you what I did with Simple Life, This Life Simple Page Kit number 2 in a few minutes. And we are going to make up number 3 together in just a minute. Now, I had to kind of jump ahead and make up number 4 because we were doing some little real time-lapse type of videos. So I just wanted to show you how cute that is. And again, even though in the sample that you see here, we've designated it as an Easter theme. I think you can see, before you put any other embellishments on it, that this would be absolutely lovely for any kind of spring layout. So again, even though you're going to see, you know, a kind of a theme of holidays and monthly, you know, kind of seasonal themes, please make sure that you're thinking a little bit beyond that. This would go with anything that has the canary, the soft pink, baby blue, dark green, Kelly green, beige. So you can pull in a lot of different collections, a lot of different products just with these simple page kits, okay? So again, it always shows you which cardstock colors will coordinate down here. And then what I like to do is just pull up the Creative Memories website. And I like to just go to the paper packs, to shop paper packs. And as I scan down through all of the different paper packs on my screen, I will see some of the paper packs that include these colors. I'm not 100% sure if I've searched, for example, for canary. I think the canary cardstock would come up, but I don't know if the other collections would. But I just typically visually scan all of the paper packs, and that gives me an idea of what some of these would coordinate with. Okay? A couple other things I wanted to mention. As I said, we're going to make up number 3. You might have noticed this cute little embellishment here. And if you are not a Creative Memories advisor, I want you to either talk to your advisor or find an advisor, or think about becoming an advisor and joining our community, because each simple page kit has a coordinating fun little embellishment, and only advisors can purchase these. So here's the little leprechaun if you really want to go all out for a St. Patrick's Day layout with page kit number 3. Here is the fun little Easter bunny, our Hoppy Easter, and he's got like a little shaker embellishment, little sequins in his tummy. And you can see, of course, how cute that will work with the simple page kit number 4. We've got hearts and Valentines for coordinating with simple page kit number 2. And then this one was the simple page kit number 1. Again, kind of a celebratory party time, anytime you want to use it, but anything that would be celebratory, party time, that kind of thing. So you can see how well that goes. So if you are not an advisor, I encourage you to talk to your advisor to find out how they might help you get these. They might be using them as incentives to attend events. They might be packaging these with the kits so that you receive it. They might be doing all kinds of different things. So if you haven't seen these before, talk to your advisor and say, hey, Noreen said to talk to you about how can I get my hands on the little embellishments that go with the simple page kits. Okay, and again, if you don't have an advisor, you can either use the advisor locator on your website or consider becoming an advisor and joining us, because there's so many fun things about being a Creative Memories advisor. So we love that. We love to watch our advisors spread the good news of scrapbooking all through the land, all through the world, really. So anyways, I'm going to tuck my page kits away. I don't know what we're doing for Easter yet, but I can definitely keep that one handy. And I'm going to put my celebration one. I thought that I might use it for Grayson's birthday that happened this month, but there were so many other things that were going on that I decided to save it. So more than likely, I will use Simple Page Kit number 1 in another month when we talk about when I have a birthday page to celebrate. So anyways, all my page kits inside this handy little simple pocket, and then it's going to go back over here into my This Life pods organizer insert where I'm keeping all of that. So I'll talk about that a little bit again in a moment. But let's talk about creating one of these. So again, we created the January, the Simple Page Kit number 1 back in January. And let's do the March one together, number 3. So of course, St. Patrick's Day was just this past weekend. You might have some great photos of St. Patrick's Day that you want to use in this layout. But what we really wanted to do is give you some options. So again, you see the lucky, and we've got the little pot of gold and stuff. But we've also got spring. We've got some other colors. We've got some flowers, a little rainbow, sayings like charmed life. This could be lucky to have you, happy-go-lucky, lucky in love, lucky days, all of those kinds of options. So you don't need St. Patrick's Day photos to make this work. So in each of the Simple Page Kits, you're going to find the 2 base pages, and they are already pre-printed. So this one's great because it looks like there's already layers on it. Now, if you don't love the look of that, you will find a coordinating tonal paper on the back side of this. Okay, so you get your 2 base pages, and we already had a look at the stickers. And then there's another sheet that looks really weird. Depending on the kit, it's going to look like it has like these different blocks of colors. But when you flip it over, that's when the magic happens, because all we need to do is cut apart these sheets according to the lines, and we're going to have all of the pieces that we need to add to our base pages, and then all we need to do is add our photos. So let's go ahead and cut our cut apart sheet out. You'll definitely want to look at both sides, okay? If I looked at this side, I might be tempted to just go ahead and start cutting along these sort of divisions of the pattern. But when I flip it over, I see that that's actually going to create a tag shape. And this part actually becomes the center of the tag. So make sure you're not cutting based only on looking at the pattern on the front. Make sure you're looking at the lines. However, I know that many of you, have said, well, if I cut on this side, I might have, a little bit of yellow on this piece, or vice versa. So when you know that you have to cut down that whole line between here, go ahead and flip it over so that you can cut a nice straight line down this way. But that's what I mean by saying you kind of need to look at both sides. So let's get out our 12-inch trimmer, and I am going to give you a couple of tips for cutting straight. And I know that sounds kind of a little strange, but some people have said, well, I don't love how this cuts because I never get a straight cut. So I want to review really quickly a couple of things for you to check when you're cutting. And these little extra steps make all the difference in achieving a nice straight cut. So first of all, sorry, I feel like I've got a hair or a thread hanging over there. First of all, the blade always cuts on the first dashed line. So whether you have it at number 1 or you've gone ahead and changed your strip and number 2 is at the top, whichever dashed line is closest to the large part of the trimmer, that's where it's going to cut. Okay, so that's a good thing to know. So knowing that, when you place something like this with lines on the trimmer, you can see that I can line it up so that the line itself is with the dashed line. It's equal to the dashed line at the top and the bottom. So that's the first Let's see if I can get that far enough along. That's the first kind of trick, okay, or clue. The second trick is to either butt your paper up against the top lip, or if you prefer, butt it down against the bottom lip. So you can go either way. And what I would recommend is that you cut opposite to the direction that you have the paper lined up. So if you like to line up your paper along the bottom edge, then I would pull down towards that edge. If, though, you like to have your paper kind of butted up or snugged up to the top edge, then once I get my my trimmer in the right spot, then I would push the blade up. So just having that sort of opposing forces, I guess, does help your paper to stay in. If I cut down from here, there may be a kind of a predisposition for me to pull the paper down, and you can see then it's a little bit away from the top edge. So that's another thing that you can kind of think of as you, if you are struggling to get a nice clean cut. But the two biggest helpers I find are right here on the trimmer. So on either side of the trimmer housing, you can see these white little plastic arrows. And inside each of those, you can see that there's a debossed line. So when you have your paper, when you're cutting against a line, when you have your paper in the right spot, that little plastic arrow, hopefully you can see that, the debossed line inside that arrow will be exactly on the line. And then finally, there are two other guides to help you. Let me get this one seems to be stuck for right now. I must not have used it recently. There are two additional little sight lines that tuck away into the upper housing and the lower housing. And you can see that they just slide freely on the track. And they have a little black line printed on it. So you can see that the black line on the little sight guide is right in line with the line printed on the paper. So I can be pretty confident that that's going to cut nice and neatly. If I was going ahead and I'm just sort of looking and I'm thinking that's right, but now when I put my sight line there, you can see that it's off a little bit. So that kind of gives me a quick clue to make sure I'm adjusting it until the line on my paper is equal with the line on my little sight guide. And it only takes an extra few seconds, but it's a great way to do a double check when you're cutting something like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut. I'm going to cut these lines, this line between number 1 and 2 on the back side. Then I'm going to flip it over so that we get a nice, neat cut down between the orange and yellow. Then I'm going to flip it over and cut between 3 and 4 and 5. All right, so I'm placing against the top. I can see the line is pretty even with my with the dashed lines on my cutting surface. And we'll just pull out one of these, do a quick check. So that is a pretty nice straight line. All right, now let's go and we'll do the same thing right between the orange and the yellow. Okay, get my sight line out. I can see it just needs a bit of adjustment. That looks pretty good. All right, now I do have a tiny bit of yellow there. So again, when you are cutting, do a double check. I'm trying to do it quickly on camera, but when you're cutting, do that double check, use all of your tools, and hopefully you won't get that little extra bit. If you do, just give it a little trim with your microtip scissors. You should be good. Okay, anyways, there is number 1 and 2. Let's flip it over. We'll cut pieces 3, 4, and 5. Do a quick check. Looks good. We will need our scissors to cut these little tabs off. Okay, So I'm just going to go ahead and cut these tabs, and you'll notice that the tabs have numbers on them. So that means we need to hang on to them because they're part of the layout. And we're using every little scrap of paper from this cut apart sheet. Okay, so all of them are the same. I don't think we need to worry too much about, you know, where I put number 6 or 7 or 11 or 10, but basically these little corners become the photo corners. Okay, so those are just the edges of our little tab there, or our little tag, and now we're going to use those as photo corners. So I'm just going to put these all off to the side here, get rid of my trimmer, and now we can go ahead and assemble. So I've got my two 13 by 13 inch cutting mats, and I can see that I'm going to put my yellow strips number 1 and 2 across the middle. And each of these strips is 3 inches long. So I'm going to be 1.5 inches above and below the 6. So again, I can use the markings on the side to make sure that I'm in the right spot. I'm just going to use some repositionable adhesive because I'm making these up ahead. So if I do want to make some slight changes to them once I have my photos ready to go on, the repositionable adhesive will let me do that. I'm just a little bit crooked. There we go. All right, so there's one. And line this up again and do number 2. Again, I'm looking at the 6 and then 1.5 inches above and below. That looks pretty good. Okay, now, so if I was going to go ahead and attach everything now, you can see that the line of border stickers actually goes underneath these photos. So anytime you're looking at assembling one of these, do check where the final embellishments are. So if I was ready to go ahead and assemble this completely, I could take this out and just put them across the middle of my strips. I'm actually going to leave them on. We didn't do anything for St. Patrick's Day this year, so I don't think I'm going to be using this as a St. Patrick's Day layout. But I can always come back, again, if I'm adding things with repositionable adhesive, I can come back, pull them off, and then I could add these a little bit later. So let's look at where we're going to put these. I've got one that's kind of off to the side here, and I can see that I'm going to put some photos above and below the center mark. And then on this side, I'm going to put my other 2 little tabs. And then you can see that right on the sketch, it tells you what size of photos. So these photos will actually be 3.5 by 4.5. And then I'm going to add a couple of little photo corners. Once I get my photos on, they're going to kind of just go down like this on the edge of these 2 tags. And then my other photo corners I'm going to use to frame the photos that I put over on this side. So in essence, they're going to look like this. So let's get a couple of little photo placeholders here. I'm sure I've got some 4x4s in my little pile somewhere. These are just little cardstock pieces that I like to keep handy. There's some 4x4s. So you can imagine that there's going to be a 4x4 there with a photo corner over top. And another one down here with the photo corners on the bottom. Okay, so that basically will be the layout. Now, because I'm not sure of exactly where my photos will be, I won't attach any of the photo corners, but that's how they would sort of look. So I'll together and put on so that I don't lose my legs here. Fun. really well. Like I said, garden, anything like that, anything that's going to have those colors. And I can use the stickers that came with it. Or if these don't work, I can do a quick scan like I talked about and, look at other collections so that I can pull something else that has the pumpkin, the canary, and the two greens, dark green and Cali green. So I'm going to hang on to this, but I don't have to use this. I can certainly look at other things. So for example, I could look at Totally Tonals. I could look at some of the spring products that we've got coming out because is some yellow in there. There is some green in there. I could look at other products I have in my own stash to see what other embellishments might work here. And if you were with me last week, for example, if you got some of the floral essentials, the pumpkin and the canary, the oranges and the yellows would really work nicely there as well. So throughout the year, when we have different kinds of promos, do keep your eye on that because many of the promos will also go with This Life collection, which of course then goes with the This Life Simple page kits. Okay, so I'm going to keep those on top there, and I'm just going to set this aside. This I'm going to put in my This Life collection because I can use this for a bunch of different things. So let's talk about This Life and move into my album pages. So if you joined me back at the very beginning of the year, I decided that I was going to use our Rainbow Dots Pods Organizer Insert to keep all of my This Life album project, sorry, I'll move that up, my This Life album project pieces in. So it's a little bit falling over on its side there. So I basically have a power project folder. In there, I keep my album because I'm going to be working on it each and every month. And I also actually have the cardstock sampler because then there's one of each color in here. You know that I have lots of cardstock right behind me at my desk here, but if you needed to keep, a few pieces of each color of cardstock, that would be a great thing to do. And I actually also have, because I initially got a Fast to Fab album, I also have the Fast to Fab pages. So these could definitely come in handy and I could intersperse them into my album. The other thing I have in here is I just put my Simple Page Kit folder back in here. So typically though, I'm going to be keeping my Simple Page Kits right inside that little folder. And then the little folder, the little pocket, fits inside my Power Project folder. Okay, so I have absolutely everything I need for this album project right here. I've got the mat cards, I've got some scraps, I've got my embellishments, and when I flip it over, I've got my This Life stickers. I also have my This Life ABC 123 stickers, and now I've started keeping the stickers for each of the page kits. There's the Simple Page Kit number 1 stickers. There's number 2. Here's number 3 that we just made up together, and number 4. So again, keeping it all together enables me to look at these as a whole. I might not use, a blue heart on my Simple Page Kit number 1 layout, but because it works with everything else in This Life, I might come back and find that another time and say, this is exactly what I need. So I decided to keep all of my Simple Page Kit sticker sheets in my This Life Power Project folder. And then in the center, again, as you know, I have 3 folders or 3 pockets, one for my page kits, one for my This Life Designer, and one for my This Life Tone on Tone paper. So again, everything I need. All right, so let's move on then to my February page. And I've got my February simple, or my number that I'm going to be. So the kind of title Mary in, and get myself, and we just the square kind of the that I barely have anything in. We decorated with a few of the little stickers and some of the This Life memories. I've got here a little star, a little heart, really simple embellishments. But again, because I've repeated the colors throughout, it does have a nice cohesiveness to it. I also talked about journaling, and this is where the journal app came in. So basically, I went back through my journal entries for the month and kind of composed them into my journaling and then integrated that into my page. Now, there wasn't much happening in January. Truly, we had a pretty quiet month. So that's all I have for January. But February is another story. So I've already gone ahead and I'm using the back side. Let me pull this out. I'm using the back side of the page that I did my January layout on. Okay, that's the back side of the calendar. I had kind of initially distributed all of the little border pieces and the calendar pages themselves in my album full of top loading sleeves, and I did kind of do it based on what I thought might be colors appropriate to the, you know, to this season or the month. So for March, I did put the green in, thinking a little bit about St. Patrick's Day. For April, I did put baby blue in, etc. But again, because I'm using the top loading pocket pages, I can move these around as needed. So again, can't do it one-handed while staying on camera, but you know, they're just going to pull out. I also have one blank or empty pocket page in between each, just in case I've got enough photos that I need to do a second layout for the month. And that is the case for February. So I've got all my photos here. But you can see we had a busy month. We had 3 weekends that we were traveling. We had a bunch of different events happening. Grayson aged out of cadets. It was Grayson's birthday. Again, he spoke at a couple of events. It was a busy, busy month. So I've gone ahead and I've put on all of my monthly dates. And then I've just moved those stickers that came with the calendar kit ahead to March. So now I'm prepped for March. I can do that whenever. So it's just a blank calendar sheet and I have all the numbers in there. But I've gone ahead and done February's. Okay. I am going to use pink, but this is not the page that is going to be the facing page. I actually have something else that I'm going to put in, and that is my simple page kit number 2. So we do not traditionally celebrate Valentine's Day. I have to say, my husband and I are probably the most non-romantic people in the world. You know, we might go out for dinner, but we rarely celebrate and have flowers and that kind of stuff. Grayson's 19th birthday was in the beginning of the month. Valentine's Day in the middle, traveling all around. So what we did basically is we invited my mother-in-law and Grayson's girlfriend to come out, and we kind of celebrated Valentine's Day and birthday together. So I actually used the word celebrate from the Simple Page Kit number 1. Okay. That was the sort of one of the main titles there. And again, I was able to mix and match. So I did use some of the hearts because it kind of went with the pink and red, but it's not specifically Valentine's. It just really has to do with love. And so I've used some of the stickers from the Simple Page Kit's sticker sheet, but I've also used, you know, words like together, and those are the of the words. My maybe I have a star on there. Celebrate. And then I used the borders and a couple of the hearts. So I still have all of these stickers that I can use somewhere else, whether it's for a Valentine's Day layout or just another layout. Maybe I'll do something about how unromantic my husband and I are. But I've got those to use with this whole collection later on. Okay? All right. So this is going to go into, again, sorry, I've got to move it down and kind of off camera a little bit to get these in. You're probably seeing the back of my head a little bit too. But these are going to go in like that. So this page, the back of this page, is actually going to be the facing page of my layout now. So I'm going to use that page. I'm going to use my calendar page. I can see that the pink still goes really nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and tack that down. And it's just going to meet up at the corners there. And there's basically my layout ready to go. Okay, so let's look at what I have here, and then let's maybe pull some of the other This Life products so that I can create a little bit of more interest for this layout. So I know that I'm using February. I liked the idea of kind of finding a little fun thing to incorporate. So I had a little meme here for January. So I kind of found a cute little car with a heart on it for February, kind of in the same colors. I think that's probably just going to go something like that. It's just a little something extra. All right, then what I started last month and what I'm excited to continue on is kind of documenting or keeping this almost like a reading log. So last month I had kind of 3 different books that I already read. I've got a couple of books here. Read 2 books by the same author. So I think those are going to just kind of get tucked over here. I did have quite a few questions about printing small little photos. So if you remember, I'm a big fan of Canva. And what I did is I searched the internet. I just literally Googled 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo book cover. And then I copied and pasted that image that came up. Same with Daisy Jones and the Six. I just copied those 2 images and I put them into my Canva account. And then all this is a 6 by 4 inch canvas or project in Canva. And I basically clicked and dragged both of these images over onto the one canvas. Then when I go ahead and print that, I download and print that. And now when I cut them out, I've got 2 little 2 by 6 inch photos. And I know they're going to go in this area because that's the area where it seemed like Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday of most weeks we weren't busy, but we were busy the rest of the time. So I think those are going to go right here. And I like that. I think it's really fun to include things that you're reading or watching, listening to. What are some of the favorite things that you're up to? This is a great way to document some of those as well. Now, I've got lots of photos because, again, it was such a busy month. So as I mentioned, Grayson aged out of cadets. Grayson and Shane flew away to Washington for a convention. We went up to Edmonton. I was able to meet with a bunch of wonderful CM advisors here in Calgary during Family Day. We were driving up to another event. I did my journaling on a little square this time. Sam and I got to do some shopping and visit the Alberta legislature when we were up in Edmonton. So I've got all of these photos. I love a grid layout because I can get so many photos on there. But this is kind of boring, just on that kind of pale background. So I know I want to kind of zhuzh this up a little bit. And this is what I mean by a formula. This is a really easy formula for me to get a lot of photos on a page. I love, love, love grid formulas. But let's see what we can do to make it a little bit more interesting. So let me just put that up there. And I am actually going to do a little bit of cutting and a little bit of punching. So I know that in the This Life Designer paper pack, there is a red tonal hearts. Okay, I hope you can see the little hearts. And it's on the back of the multicolored hearts. So I was thinking if I did a border to bring some red over here, and then I used the red as a frame for my photos over here. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I am going to have to move this. I can't do both in the same space and keep it all on camera. So we'll bring it back in a second. But I thought, of course, with the hearts, what better one to use than our new scalloped hearts that came out with wedding and baby. Again, hearts are so versatile. You know, you can use them for so many different things. So let's do that. This is an edge punch, so we're going to have to, let me see here. My hearts are going in a specific direction, so let's do this. We are going to have to trim off once we punch. So let's go ahead and punch. And you can kind of see that the hearts are almost like an upside down heart. I've already got some paper in there. So hang on to the little punched out hearts, and then just note that the hearts go a specific direction. So that might affect how wide we cut the border away from our paper. Okay, got lots of little hearts, so those will be great for decorating. I'm just gonna scoop them all off to the side here. I think I've got a little bit of repositionable adhesive. Oh, that reminds me actually. I saw a bunch of questions about how to clean your mats. And I did write a post because I don't want anybody to ruin their mats by putting chemicals on them. So if you have one of these little adhesive pickup square removers, I have a really old one that's getting kind of firm, but you can get these. We've had them before from CM. We don't have any in stock right now, but again, ask your advisor. If you don't have one of these, you can use a regular eraser. You can also use like a Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. And when you feel where the repositionable adhesive is, you can just rub this over as if you were erasing some pencil marks, okay? If that doesn't work, you can just literally use the pad of your finger and just wipe it off, okay? Please don't use chemicals like, you know, a cleaner, anything like that. Some people suggested rubbing alcohol. Again, we don't recommend anything like that, but because it can take off the markings, okay? So just use your fingers. Friction is the best way to clean these. So either your fingers, an adhesive remover, or an eraser or magic eraser, and then just brush it off as if you're brushing away pencil or eraser shavings sort of thing. Okay, back to our, I get distracted. I go off on tangents, don't I? Back to our paper here. So I've just punched the edge. Let's go ahead and see if we can get an 11-inch square that we can use kind of as a frame for this page. So where's my 11 inches? Okay, that would work because that will give me a nice little kind of border along the top edge. So again, we're just going to trim that off. So there's a border that I can use on the left-hand side. And then let's just go ahead and trim another inch off here. And there we go. I'm going to hang on to this because I do want to punch out a couple of little banner pieces. Because remember in my January layout, I had some of those banners. So I'm just going to hang on to that. Plus I have my little hearts, all of my little hearts that I've just saved. So I've got those off to the side here as well. All right, so let's bring this back together and see how it goes. So I'm thinking that I could add my border just like this. And again, this is becoming a bit of a formula because I have the strip, the border, a little sort of meme that relates to the month and the month itself. And that's just like I had over here, the strip, a border, the name of the month, and a little meme. So that's becoming my formula for my title, or for my calendar page. So let's get this on. Again, a little bit of repo, a little bit of repositionable adhesive. Again, coming together fast. In our hour together, we will have made up, well, of course I chalk a lot, but we will have made up the Simple Page Kit number 3. I will have made up my February page, and I will have inserted my extra February page. So I think something like this. I don't mind if it covers over the day. We all know that's, what the day is. And some foam squares. So let's get that on there. And that will be my formula going forward for all of my calendar pages. There's February. And my 2 little books. And again, I kind of know where they're going because I've already filled everything in. I think I'll put this one just on top, something like that. I'm just trying to gauge where I'm putting it. I think that will be okay. All right, so that's the calendar part done, unless I want to add some little hearts or other little things. Let's focus on this one now. And we'll just move all of my photos. I kind of had them arranged the way I want, but let's go ahead. Make sure that this is upright. Yep, that looks good. And I'm just going to frame this up. I am actually going to take my album away and work right on my 13 by 13 inch cutting mat, just so it's a little bit more stable. Okay, make sure my hearts are in the right direction. And I'm putting this a 1/2 inch in and a 1/2 inch up or down from the edges. So there's my base. Okay, now let's see if this will all fit. I can adjust until, yeah, I think it's just gonna fit. I could of course trim these down a little bit further, my photos, if I needed to. But it looks like they're all gonna fit. So really I'm just gonna have to take my time in making sure I have a nice even margin between all my photos. That's what I love about a grid, is I can get all of those on there and it's really nice, symmetrical. It's easy on the eye. I love that. Okay, so I want to show you some embellishments and I want to put this back in, but I do need to take my time. I do like to use a little ruler, just making sure that all of my edges are nice and neat. So let me tack them down with some repo really quick so that we can move them around without it being too worrisome. And again, with my journaling, all I do is I make a little text box, the size I think I need. So all of my photos were kind of trimmed to about 3.5 by 3.5. So that's the size of text box that I made on my computer. And then when I printed it out, I just trimmed it down again to that 3.5 by 3.5. So I'll come back and make sure that these are a little bit more secure and make sure they're all nice and even. But this at least will give us an idea of how it will all look. So I have to say that I am finding that I'm enjoying taking pictures of the everyday things. One of my hesitations about doing kind of a yearly family album was it really had to do with the fact that, I kind of didn't think that we did a lot, but now that I'm going through and, documenting and taking the time to journal about our lives, I think this is going to be a really lovely album to look back on. If nothing else, for, you know, what we were doing, how we all looked, that kind of thing. This is the only problem with scrapbooking on both sides of a piece of paper. Things get caught. All right, so there's that one in. And then let's just talk really quickly about embellishing. On a grid layout like this, I don't feel a real need to do a lot of embellishing. But again, we've got some of these that would work. I could put a little bit, you know, of together forever, that kind of thing. I got lots of family photos in there. I could use some of the hearts, but I think I'm probably going to use just a couple of words. I really like using the words to emphasize an idea, or, you know, kind of almost as additional journaling. So when I pull this out, and I do have a couple of packs in here together, but I can start to see, you know, I could do something like together. That would be really nice there with all of my CM sisters. I could use some of the beige, you know, we've got some happiness. And I love the look of putting embellishments and small embellishments and words right on top. You know, I could do something like here. I don't know if I'd use the two, but I could cut off the two and I could just put, you know, remember, or remember down here. Wonderful, right? So there's lots of options to just add really simple embellishments. And then again, maybe some of the little hearts, for example. I don't even know, I'm so packed in here. But, you know, just a few of the little hearts would really help that. Or even the little dots, right? If the hearts didn't work for you, the little enamel dots might. So that would be, I'm going to take these off because, again, I'm not sure which ones I'm going to put on. But let's put it all into my album. And then I'm done for February. So even with all of my chit chat, I basically got my February album pages done. I will say it took me maybe about half an hour, 40 minutes to decide which photos I wanted to use and to write up my little journaling. So you can use that as a bit of a guide. Okay, so again, formulas for the win. We already did the title page. We've got a calendar page, a few photos from the month, and journaling. In the next one, we've got the calendar page, same formula for the top border, some of the same, you know, extras. And then I've used a grid page here. Plus, we also have another layout based on our simple page kit to extend that month. So again, even though it's on a different page, we still get that sense that this is part of February because of the continuity of the colors, the red and the pink. And again, it's not super sweet. It's not super, you know, I've got lots of pictures of my guys in here, and it works just fine. So again, using pink shouldn't, you know, be a deterrent if you're thinking, oh, I've just got pictures of fellas, you know. So think about the colors as a kind of a backdrop. Don't worry too much if you think, I'm never going to use a pink backdrop. I didn't really think that either, but look how nicely these photos work with the red and the pink. Okay, I think I might go ahead and put a date on this little thing, and then I'm done. That's February. So then next will be into March, and whether I use the Simple Page Kit number 3 with the kind of St. Patrick's Day theme or not, you know, that's to be determined. So I really like this sort of prepping ahead a little bit, but then responding to what happened in the month as well. So again, I've got a page here, or I've got an extra pocket in my album so that I could put number 3 in here if I needed to. And there's going to be the March. We'll follow the same formula, have some pictures of things that happen in March, and then if I need to, I can extend it. So that is me all caught up. So I'm changing my, sorry for my finger there, I'm changing my thoughts about being caught up as well as about the chronological way of scrapbooking. So maybe I'm a convert. Maybe I will be converted over to that and not be so focused on other ways of scrapbooking. But it sure is fun, and I'm enjoying, very much like December days or December daily. I'm enjoying being in the moment. Doing an album like this is really helping me focus on what's going on in my life now. What did we do today? What did we do this past month? What was happening last week? Documenting it, writing it down, taking pictures. I'm getting better at taking those everyday type of pictures. And then again, staying on top of it because I'm committed to you guys. I made myself accountable to you guys to get my pages done each and every month. So if you can relate to any of that, I hope you join me again next month when I cover and catch up on March. Okay. Oh, somebody's asking, how are you using that banner BMC for February? So good question. And I did mention it, but I didn't actually do it. So I've got that little 1-inch piece left over from my my scrap of red there. So I think I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to literally punch a few little red banners, and I can put those onto my calendar page or use them behind some of the little words that I have, right? So maybe I'm going to have something like, smile, and then the little red banner. So the little red banner pieces are actually just going to act as kind of that bridge, adding just that touch more red and basically using up that one piece of scrap paper that I had. So that's a good question. Thank you very, very much. Someone else is saying this is my first time making a daily or yearly album, but it's going to be great. Yeah, I'm having a really good time. So I look forward. It's still early in the year. You can still go back to January and February, get your pages done, and then join me for the rest of the year as we go on. Okay. I'll go back and look through any other questions. Someone's saying, are the calendar pages still together? Yes, they are. They're called This Life Calendar Kit. And you get the calendar pages with the tonal backgrounds, the strips, 12 strips, 12 calendar pages, and I believe the monthly titles. So everything you need to kind of create those calendar layouts. Let's see. And then some comments about books, that kind of thing. It looks like some folks were having problems earlier with the feed. So again, I'll be finishing up here in just a second, and then you can go back and watch the replay. Okay? All right. So again, simple solutions to get caught up. Don't stress about being caught up, but if you do want to get a project completed, or if you want to stay on top of an ongoing project, then some of these ideas that we've shared today hopefully will be helpful for you to get and stay caught up. Okay? But again, don't feel guilty. Not about feeling guilty, that's for sure. I never want anybody to feel that way. So next week, March 27th. We're still in March. You never know what's going to happen next week. So I encourage you to join me. Hopefully you've got it on your calendar to join me next Wednesday, March 27th, 5 p.m. Central Time. And again, either on the YouTube channel or in the Facebook group. And I hope you have a great week. Thanks for spending your time with me today. And we will see you next week. All right? Bye-bye.